And so in my selfish head, I'm thinking, I need a mechanic.
Yeah.
And I says, hey, what are you doing? I'm thinking, come on, you're a mechanic,
Come on,
right?
mechanic.
I need a
Yeah.
machinist too. Maybe you've been making.
We'll take one or the other.
Yeah, that's how limited my brain is, you know. And he says, I'm a cook. I'm like, ah.
Well, like, this is a good segue into your guys' social media. So as a car guy, your guys' content just started blowing up my feed like probably 6 to 8 months ago. I just started seeing you guys everywhere, and I love it. I'm the type that like watches machining videos on YouTube just because it relaxes me and whatever. But your guys' content just started blowing up, and even one of our videographers, the director of our commercial today, he's not even a car guy, and he's like, I started watching their content, and he's like, I've been watching for like 2 hours, just like listening to the guy work and all of that. But what spurred that, like the move into social and to document this? Because really it's additional work, right, that you guys don't necessarily have to do, but it's taken off and going ballistic. Like,
Before he tells the story, I'm going to tell you this. This will be on my tombstone. I kept saying, my son kept coming to me about all these ideas. And the reason he had to come to the ideas, I said, look, son, I said, I've given you a piece of pie that's this big. And me and your mother and his younger brother, he's got a younger brother that has autism, so our youngest son, and he'll live with us forever. But I said, we've been eating this big a pie. I says, now that you got a family, son, you got to make the pie bigger, because I'm eating this much. I'm not taking a diet.
And he was very clear. He was like, you don't get a bit of that
Right.
unless you add to it.
And he took that seriously, and especially with the expansion and everything. So he was bugging me about, trying to do social media. And I think about, is it 16 months now?
Yeah, I think we're
not even a year and a half.
I don't think it's a year and a half.
We had 200 followers, and they were our relatives.
yeah.
Yeah, I would force people, years ago, I'm like, hey, like our page.
Yeah.
And I would post a picture or something, and I had
That's
no
so
idea.
crazy to me. You guys have exploded.
Yeah, we've had social media. If you look at it, we've had a Facebook page or something like that for 8 years,
8 years.
9 years.
But if you go back,
a long time.
our Facebook maybe had 100 followers, and so he was bugging me about it. And this is the thing that'll be on my tombstone, the dumbest thing I've ever said. Keep your eye on the ball, boy. I kept telling him that. He kept coming to me with all these cockamamie ideas, And one day, I could tell he was mad. Mm-hmm. Now he's every one of your children has different personalities. Miles is mild mannered. He's a very likable, kind, gentle man. But he was mad. And I thought, in my head, I'm thinking, he's going to quit, or he's going to tell me to, take a hike. And he finally said it like this. He says, Dad, I want to take our engines and I want to sell them on a national scale. He says, it's not like I want to make picture frames. So I knew he was serious. And I said, okay, well, how are we going to do that? And he's like, we're going to do it in social media. And that's when I was like, oh, gosh. And I says,
Dang kids.
I know. These young kids don't know anything.
But before we did that, I went and I got a bid from a couple of national advertising agencies if I could saturate the market in the United States with the idea of building motors and sending them out, instead of the local community here that we've been doing for decades. And it was over $1 million. I'll just say it was over $1 million, an annual ad campaign. Well, I'm telling you, that was so far out of my budget. I was like,
we were
for just about anyone.
We just kind of laughed.
I was like, okay, you're talking to Dave. I'm not. I don't know, $1 million. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I went back to Miles about it, and we were kind of like, what are we going to do now? Now this is where the story gets super good.
Well, let me interject before
ahead.
I think you get to the part you're going to talk about.
Yeah, this is going to get juicy.
So my dad was like, I started working on cars because of poverty.
Right.
It was a necessity that I had to do if I wanted something, and we had decided business was going fairly well for a few years, and that's when we decided to move into Les Schwab, and this is kind of when all this happened, and so we did this deal, and then it's like then the mortgage payment started to happen every month.
You're like,
And he was
"Oof,
like, and
yeah,
and,
that
and I remember
hurts."
him
My
like,
pie, dude. I'm Mark. My
My
pie. My pie's this big, dude.
Yeah.
and so it felt like he was breathing down my neck of like, you've got to do something about this. He's like, I've done this for a lot of years. He's like, it's your turn if you want anything to happen, because he's like, my pie is getting smaller now at this point. And so I was just scrambling. That necessity started kicking in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to not just be a service advisor and like helping around the shop. Like I got to think of something. And we've been doing engines since I can remember. So that's when I said, we're not doing picture frames. Like, let's just do more engines. Like, let's get to more customers. And so that's when those ideas came about. But it was really because of that strain of like, this is a make or break. We just did this huge deal.
Right.
Now we got to we got to not just make more money, but we got to get more money to keep people busy.
Right.
Yeah, I started my business when I was 29, 30. And so he's having this experience at 32 because he's 34 now. And let me tell you, that's from a father's point of view or any business, to try to shift that weight. You want to shift that weight.
Right.
You know, but how do you do it? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Right.
You know,
We are, yeah.
you
Then
know,
back to that self-sufficiency thing.
right.
Yeah.
You
Right.
want to shift that load, and you don't want to just dump it all on him.
Right.
But you want to slowly shift that load, and he's done a very good job of it. But this is where the story gets super juicy on a social media thing.
Yeah. I mean, and so we started to try and post more pictures because I'm like, okay, social media, I've heard people talk about it. Like, it works to get our name out there. We definitely can't afford $1 million in advertising. Like,
Right.
that just, I mean, if we sell a motor or two more a month, like, we don't even come close to a percentage of that. And so we started to post more things on social media, trying to figure it out, and just doing a terrible job at it until, I think God intervened. And
That's exactly what it is. Let's not so I go to church, and I'm sitting in church, and a friend of mine is sitting in church, and I like to say hi to new people because it's just something I like to do.
Welcoming.
And I see this one of my buddies that's been in the church for 20 years with me I don't live behind the shop anymore, but and he's got this young couple there, and they got a little boy. He looked like he's 5 or 6 years old at the time. And I go over to introduce myself. Now remember, my brain is kind of selfish, so I'll preface it with this. So I go over to introduce myself, and the guy opens his mouth and says his name is Sergey and his wife is Nastya, and they're Russian.
Okay.
And so in my selfish head, I'm thinking, oh man, maybe he's worked on Russian tanks. I need a mechanic.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I says, hey, what do you do? And I'm thinking, come on, you're a mechanic,
Come on,
right?
mechanic.
I need a
Yeah.
machinist too. Maybe you've been making.
we'll take one or the other.
Yeah, that's how limited my brain is, And he says, I'm a cook. I'm like, it's not going to help me out. I says, well, how, he starts telling me. So he had escaped Russia because he was being, this is a touching story. Him and his wife, he was going to be drafted back into the army. Well, in Russia, you don't know this, but they don't send you a letter and say show up. They come into the village or the town in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they rip you out.
They
of your
haul
house.
you out. They take you right then at gunpoint, and you just go.
Yeah.
And he'd heard that they're coming to get him. So him and his wife and this little 6-year-old boy, 2 backpacks, escape. They get to Uzbekistan They get across the border to Uzbekistan. They get to Turkey. They finally get to New Mexico City. They wait and they get a visa. They are here on a visa. They get into America. So this has been like a little over a year and a half before. Now they're in my church because the man that they're sitting next to was a mission president in Russia. So this is where they could come
Right.
with a visa. So he takes them to church. Then when he says I'm a cook, I say, oh, I don't need a cook. But he says, but I can do windows. Well, I had just bought this building. We're moving into it. I need
lot of
paint.
windows.
I need windows. I need all kinds of work. I put him to work. The guy's working so hard. I mean, he's like a quality dude. And then one day he comes in
And he had heard, we were talking to him about what we were trying to do at the business. He had been here for a week or so,
two, and he
cleaning
sees
windows.
what's going on, sees the machine shop, He knocks on my office door in another building, and he says, "Can I talk to you?" And this is my Russian act. "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure, Sergey, come on in." And this is the first words. "I make you number one." I says, "That's so good of you, dude." I says, "I want you to be number one." I'm thinking that's his way of saying
he's
thank
like,
you.
You're the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the best, you know. I said, "Thank you." And he says, "No, I make you number one." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." Again, you know, we're having this back and forth. And then finally he says, he says, "I want to show you something." So he shows me his phone. Well, in Russia, he was a big YouTube star. He had like a
TikTok
million
and stuff.
Yeah, he
Oh,
had like
wow.
1.5 million followers on YouTube, and he would do Russian traditional cooking. And his wife, Nastya, would film him, and they were a team. And she's in here working with him too, doing cleaning and painting and doing everything, you know. And so I said, at first I thought he just is trying to get a job.
Right.
And I told Miles, and he said, "Okay." And then I says, "Okay, go do social media." That's how go do social media. So he takes a couple weeks, and he's filming other people, and it's not working. So a couple weeks go by, and he knocks back on my door. He says, "I make you number one. You got to come do it." And I said, "No way, I'm not doing it." And eventually that changed.
He won you over?
Yeah, he won me over, and that changed. But honestly, yeah, that's a good story for me, because it shows that you stick with it, you have the discipline, you don't give up. My son, his dream didn't give up, and things will happen in your life. And I would tell that to anybody, you know, just when you think, remember, that's an opposition. We got this mortgage, our building, we got to expand. We had an opportunity. All we needed was the right options to overcome. And that happened, and now they work full time for me as doing the social media. They're the head of that.
Their thing, which has kind of been our thing with the mechanics for so long, was just share our secrets. Like,
Right.
there is no secrets. It's just share that knowledge. And that was their thing. And that's why they wanted my dad on there, is because they're like, there's so much in his brain, so much value and knowledge, and they're like, that's what needs to get onto social media. They're
Right,
like,
yeah,
doing some of
absolutely.
the stuff is cool, but they're like that personal value, knowledge, and stuff like that. They're like, you have to literally talk about that on camera.
Right.
And I think that is what was different, because we stopped just taking a picture of something cool that we did, like an awesome engine in our mind, and
writing a caption about
you,
it.
You
yeah.
probably know this, like, oh, it's the finish is perfect, like all that stuff, and just taking the picture
Oh, yeah.
is like, okay, well, that's cool, but not a lot of people understand that. But that knowledge, that process, that detail about how all those steps are done, they're like, Nastya and Sergey were like, get that on video, and that's what will make you.
Yeah, that was their genius. People ask me, it has nothing to do with me. It's all about them and what they've done. It really
Well,
is.
they've done an amazing job.
They sure have.
I used to run a Facebook page that had over 1 million followers, and an automotive one. So, like, I understand trying to create that content and seeing what hits and misses and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's not an easy job. So, I mean,
We've been so blessed, and they've given us such good guidance. They've been great partners to help navigate us through this journey that was so new to us.
And yeah, they're here in America, you know, and God bless America, because, you know, good people, immigrants that had a talent, brought it to America, and now they'll
as part of that mind share.
yeah, and now they're, you know, going to be buying a home this year, and, you know, and they were refugees.
Yeah. Are you guys ready for the celebrity of that? Like, you guys, the following on your pages is crazy. I know you guys recently went to PRI, which is an automotive industry show, for maybe listeners and followers that don't know that. But it sounds like you guys were getting stopped and asked for pictures and all sorts of that. So, like, how does that celebrity, borderline celebrity, at least in the automotive industry, how do you feel about that?
I think Miles likes it more than I do.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, you know, I haven't decided if it's vain or not, but, you know, we're just talking. But I think the connections that it's allowed us to make with certain people that we've seen on social media, or that we've read about in
Yeah, right.
magazines or something like that. It's like we've been able to make such valuable connections because of that, and it's really helped us just get to be more involved in our industry. So I think that's the part that really is so encouraging to me.
Just
is
bring
it's
some
like,
visibility to you guys and what you're doing here, right?
It's humbling. It's very humbling. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't deserve it. That's the first thing that I remember. You know, I don't deserve it. I'm a mechanic.
Right.
So people, you know, it's weird. You know, it's weird that people want to take a photo with you or, you know, have a conversation with you. But I understand it, and I'm very humbled by it and grateful. But I don't think I'll ever get over the weirdness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it for us, the connections that it makes, we've met people from Central America that watch our videos and stuff like that. It's and just all over the world, and it's cool just to be like, you know, we're mechanics, and you're a mechanic too. Like, oh, that, you know, what you guys shared on social media was what we were struggling with in our shop, and you guys helped us fix it. Like, for us and for me, I think that's the coolest thing, is not the, you know, not any status or anything. It's just the connections that we are able to have with people that we maybe wouldn't have had before.
Thanks to Dave and Miles for joining me today.
You bet.
And check out all of our other episodes, and we'll see you next time on Guiding You Forward.